Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, if you're new to praise, we talk a lot, or hopefully we talk a lot, and we'll continue to talk a lot about leading your own heart, staying connected to the vine, turning the eyes of your heart to God, reordering the loves of your life. Actually, you're part of leading yourself to God. So hopefully today, I'm going to try to demonstrate, hopefully, that there is the correlation, a big correlation between gratitude and actually having fellowship with God. You know, we could have the tendency to think that, salvation is the biggest deal of God concerning your life. And I'm not saying it's not the biggest deal. But God wants so much more than just salvation for you. Think of salvation as the front door into a house. That's the entryway. He wants more than salvation. He wants to have fellowship. Go back to the Garden of Eden where there's direct interaction and communication. So all throughout the rest of your life, He wants to be known. And He wants you to know. He wants there to be a deep, genuine, trusting relationship between Him and you. And He wants you to know Him. And we have many, many ways to do that. There's special revelation through the person of Jesus. And there are other ways like general revelation, like nature and things that you really don't have to have an explanation. You just know there has to be something behind it bigger than that object. So what I hope to do is show that there are obvious pointers to God throughout our day that we often miss. And that if we had eyes to see, that as we would see these pointers, it would increase gratitude, but not only just have gratitude, but it would produce something inside of you because you know that if there is a gift given to you, there has to be a giver. So when you see and recognize good, then you don't just stop by seeing just the good, but actually you see God. And that would become a moment of worship, calibration, leading your heart to God. So if you've ever taken a trip and you're driving along and you take an exit prematurely, the goal is to get back on the interstate as quickly as you can. So you're looking for the next exit. So think about it like this. During our day, there are times that we take exits. We're not fellowshipping with God. We're distracted. We take an exit. We want to get back on the fellowship road as quickly as we can. And we have to have entrances and on-ramps. Gratitude has the ability, or good things in having gratitude, has the ability of getting you back on the on-ramp. So consider this. One of the words, we call it an attribute that we say describes God, is omnipresent. So there's omnis and omniscient and omnipresent. Omnipresent just simply means He's at all places at all times. Now, I'm sure you're like me that's bigger than your mind can take in. He's all places at all times. So the question would be, if you can believe that theological truth, that God is at all places at all times, how is it that someone who is at all places at all times can't be seen? How is it that God can become a no-see-um in our life if He's at all places at all times? And that would be because we are personally distracted. So if you've ever been a no-see-um somewhere, you're with a group of people and you just felt like no one saw you. Maybe you're at the table and no one was recognizing you, or you tried to talk and no one would listen to you. It's really not your fault. It's the people that are around you. They are distracted by other things. And if we don't see God frequently during a day, then it's not God's fault of not showing up because He has the attribute of being omniscient. Omnipresent. He's at all places at all times. Now, it's not uncommon for our world culture, our world media, to dismiss God as if, He's not around. But the moment something goes wrong in the world, they'll call God into question. It's almost like God suddenly appears when something bad happens so that there can be maybe a scapegoat to blame the situation on. But if God is omnipresent, it means that He's a spirit. If God is a spirit, he's not limited by what we're limited to. Again, mind blown, if we would try to go down this trail of trying to comprehend this, our brain would only be able to conceive some of this. He's a spirit. He's not restricted by time. There's no past, present, future. Just it's there. And he's not restricted, because he's a spirit, by space. Now, if that is too difficult for you to believe, I think you could believe this, hopefully, that you could still be able to see God in all times, in all places, simply because of what he has made. Because if you believe the creation account, which that's what we believe at Praise, that God is the creator of all things, then this world is God's canvas. This is his piece of art. So everything from all the sciences, physics, botany, zoology, anything, that's his art. And he's the artist. And how many know that you can learn a lot about an artist through their artwork? So the humanities, through what's beautiful to us, through music. Why is that beautiful to us? Why is art beautiful to us? It's just people relations, psychology. Those types of things. It's all God's canvas. And we can learn about God because he created it. Because if you created something, if you crafted something, someone could learn a lot about you. Whether that's a house design or landscaping, they could learn your creativity. They could learn your flow of thought, your rationale. So if we aren't seeing God through his creation, then we're simply distracted. So since we live, breathe, we move in a world created by him, we can learn much about him. So really, and this is kind of a side note, but this could also give us a love for learning just in general. Because we could say, wow, physics, math, music, lights, all that stuff was created by God. And by learning about that stuff, and the deeper we know about that stuff, it could give us a little insight into God. So all you parents, you can try that with your children. Hopefully the grades will improve. Tell them they're learning for the glory of God. So the bottom line is that gratitude should lead us to worship God. Gratitude should be an on-ramp. Now, hopefully we stay with gratitude, but if we get off and distracted and we're not having fellowship with God, then the quickest way, let's say the quickest way, a quick way to get back on the fellowship bandwagon is to find gratitude. Find something that's good in life. Hopefully that's what will be the conclusion of this sermon. Let me read Psalms 100. We're not doing songs from the heart, but we're still, I just thought this would be a good Psalms to read. So my heading says, his steadfast love endures forever. It says a psalm for giving thanks. Then he begins, make a joyful noise to the Lord, all of the earth. Make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the earth. So, if you've ever been using the excuse for not singing because you don't sing good, it doesn't say anything about making a good sound, just a joyful sound. All right, so just sing as loud as you can so all can hear. I can't wait to watch that movie again. Every Christmas. Serve the Lord with gladness. Remember last week I mentioned some people need to tell their face that they're saved? Serve the Lord with gladness. Come into his presence with singing. Check, we did that. Know that the Lord, he is God. It is he who made us and we are his. We are his people and the sheep of his pasture. Meaning that we're in his world. We're on his canvas. Enter his gates with thanksgiving. Enter his courts with praise. Give thanks to him. Bless his name. So in David's time, he's probably talking about the temple here. Enter his gates with thanksgiving, into his courts with praise. But if we serve a God that's omnipresent, then where's his courts and where's his gates? Well, it's right here. We just enter it wherever we are. For the Lord is good. His steadfast love endures forever, and his faithfulness endures to all generations. Amen? That's incredibly great news. So, can we agree? Here's the 3 can we agrees. Can we agree that worship and praise should occur every day, not just on Sundays? Can we agree? No, basically what we're saying is God's just not good on Sunday. Right? God's good every day. Can we agree that it should be almost organic or reflexive that we would give praise to God? That it wouldn't be obligatory. I had to work on that word. Obligatory. So it's like out of, like being forced to worship God, but it just ought to be like a reflex. One more, can we agree? Can we agree that we're easily distracted by life? All right. So not every day or not every part of the day is God-centric, that God's in the middle and everything's rotating around God. So gratitude should be, when we experience gratitude, it should be an automatic on-ramp back to fellowship with God. So we have to understand gratitude. Gratitude is a feeling. It's an emotion. So we say things like, I feel grateful, right? Or I have the attitude of gratitude. But what is the cause of gratitude? What causes gratitude? Just want us to try to think through this. I want to go down a little bit deeper into gratitude. What causes gratitude? When you're filled with gratitude, what causes that? It's not just good things. It's recognizing good things, right? So we know of people that have good things happen to them and they're not grateful for them, and we look from the outside and say, man, they should be grateful for what they have. So it's not just good things happening to you when you're grateful. It's noticing or recognizing that they are good things and it is a gift to you. So gratitude is basically a result of something, and that something is seeing or perceiving, acknowledging something good. And sometimes you're overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed by gratitude. And sometimes the blessing is in front of me and I don't even notice it. Some days I'm aware, some days I'm not. Some parts of the day I'm aware, some parts of the day I'm not. The other day, my sister came over and we were all sitting in the living area, and my 3 girls were sitting on the couch. I've got one 14, 10, and 5. So it's like big, medium, little, like eeny, meeny, miny, and there's no mo. No mo. No mo. No mo. So they were sitting on the couch. Now, hey, it's not the first time that they were on the couch together, but it's just like they were in order. And during the conversation, I just looked. You ever had this moment? I looked and I thought, I mean, I know I'm a father, right? I know I'm a dad. I was like, oh my goodness, they're mine. These are my girls. This is amazing. I was blown away at the moment. I was incredibly grateful. Now, it's not the first time that I've seen them together. It's not the first time that they were on the couch together. It's just at that moment, I had eyes to see something that is incredibly valuable to me. And something that I mean, I'm so grateful that God has allowed me to experience. It's like those 3 girls, and whether you think so or not, it's like they're just beautiful. They're not perfect by no means, but they are beautiful. They're beautiful, and I love them so much, and I was filled with gratitude at that moment. But gratitude doesn't always equal thanksgiving, because thanksgiving is the behavioral response to gratitude. Gratitude is a feeling. Thanksgiving is taking that feeling and I guess kind of like putting legs to it. And gratitude should never just stay the result of seeing good, right? So I said that gratitude is a feeling that's a result of seeing good. But while it is a result, then gratitude should be the cause. Hope I don't lose you there, because I lost myself when studying this a couple times, but I'm going to go there. So why do you feel gratitude? It's the result of seeing good. So seeing good is the cause of gratitude. But then gratitude shouldn't just stay the result of something. It is meant to cause something, and that is, it is meant then to go into thanksgiving. And gratitude is a great thing, but gratitude was never meant to live the single life. It was never meant to be alone. It was always meant, even throughout the Bible, to have a behavioral response to it. And the way this whole series came about, this will be a traditional every year How to Thank You series that we're going to do in November. Last year, about this time, maybe October, I was sitting in our backyard around a fire. I was by myself late at night. It was just when everything in the world was right. Stars, backyard, thinking about the family, thinking about the church, thinking about all the things that I had to be grateful for. And it just hit me because I felt very selfish, because I was like, yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. Man, I've got a great life. This is so good. And it's almost like I was imbibing. I was drinking and getting drunk on gratitude. And I thought, maybe this is so selfish if I just experience gratitude and I never have a release for it. Because maybe the reason I'm experiencing gratitude is so that it would cause me to do something else. So it would cause me to have a behavioral response. Because if we're just grateful, we could become very prideful. Looking at all we have, look what I have, I'm so grateful for it, so grateful. So there has to be an outlet to keep us from being prideful or just trying to amass more and just so glad and happy about how our life is. There has to be an outlet. That's why I believe that when we serve others with what we have, it feels not just good, but it feels right. Because God has created us to have an expression for all of the goodness that we have. So here's two things during this series. This week, next week when we're at the park, when every one of you are at the park with us, we're going to go because it's going to be beautiful weather, right? Every time I mention that, it rains. Every time I mention the Cowboys are going to win, they lose. I just got the... Huh? Yeah, right. So here's two things. Here's two things that the response should be. Automatically, it should create worship within us. And here's the premise for us. All good things come from God. All good things come from God. So gratitude is the result of acknowledging what is good in our life. Therefore, gratitude should lead our hearts to God because all good things come from Him. Just a little reasoning there. That's how my mind operates. Number two, gratitude should lead us to being a blessing to other people. Use an old school, old church phrase, we're blessed to be a... Y'all went old school church too, huh? We're blessed to be a blessing. So consider this. I mentioned this last year, didn't stay on it, but this is something that has the ability to mess your brain up for a little bit. Could it be possible that everything that God has given to you or allows you to experience wasn't intended solely for your benefit? Could it be that every blessing that you experience or everything that's given to you isn't solely for your benefit, but that God was trying to get it to somebody else through you? So the intention was to bless somebody, and He was looking for a vessel to be a good steward of so that they could get the benefit and the blessing of being a blessing as well. So everything, and this kind of rocks my world to think this sometimes, that everything that I experience that's great, maybe it's not just for my benefit, but for me to be blessed so that I could be a blessing to others. All right, so gratitude. Let's go back to gratitude. It's a powerful emotion. Think about a day without gratitude compared to a day with gratitude. Now, if you're married, just think about this. This will show you how powerful. Think about a day that your spouse isn't grateful compared to a day that they are grateful, right? Much better to be around when they're grateful, right? So we all have these days where some days we are incredibly grateful and other days that we aren't as aware of the good things that we have. So the day changes. Our day, the complexion of the day changes. All right, so most of you guys will know this story. It's the only story I have, and as you get older as a pastor, you keep using the same old story. So here I go. All right, my oldest child at 6 months old had to have her head fitted for a helmet, for a shaping helmet. And we had to go to Texas Children's Hospital in Houston. And we're just kind of like, complaining. I'll speak for myself. Complaining, my poor kid, 6-month-old, going to have to work 23 hours a day, all this stuff. And, walked in Children's Hospital complaining. And I remember it's as vivid as, just very vivid. And I walked past a little kid, had to be about 5 years old, pushing his own IV pole without hair. And so we all know this story. And that's where things changed. I thought, we're leaving today. We're just getting fitted for a helmet. Now, you ever have those moments where you have we call them paradigm shifts. Maybe you walk into a hospital room, and then when you walk out of the hospital room, you feel grateful. You're like, why am I complaining? You go to a funeral. You walk out of a funeral. You go home and hug your family. It's that type of stuff where you have these paradigm shifts. Well, in the hospital, I had this paradigm shift, and it changed the entire complexion of that day. Now, I wasn't singing a sad song. From that moment, I wasn't singing a sad song. I was singing a grateful song. Hey, we're going home. This is temporary. This helmet's not going to stay on forever. We have a good prognosis. And so the complexion of the entire day changed. Now, not only does it change like the complexion of the day, but it actually has a lot of health benefits to be filled with, gratitude. So this is it's called The Grateful Brain, subtitled The Neuroscience of Giving Thanks. This is from Psychology Today. So just kind of go on a secular trail for a second. So there was one study done. Researchers assigned young adults to keep a daily journal of things that they were grateful for. Then they assigned another group to keep a journal about things that annoyed them. Reasons why other people were better off than they were. The young adults assigned to keep gratitude journals showed greater increase in determination, greater attention, greater enthusiasm, and greater energy compared to other groups. I just find this fascinating because they go on to talk about, or another article goes on to talk about how gratitude can map the brain, how it can cause these pathways for us to think. It says another study from earlier this year did not require a gratitude journal. Simply looked at the amount of gratitude people tended to show in their daily lives. They found that higher levels of gratitude were associated with better sleep, with lower anxiety and depression. Now, there's this quote: "The wide variety of effects that gratitude can have may seem surprising, but a direct look at the brain activity during gratitude yields some insight." Now, this stuff doesn't surprise me because this is science, and science reveals God to me. Science doesn't hide God for me. Science opens my eyes to see God, because if it is science, it's telling me, about God. God created the whole thing. So for me, this shows me that God has created us in the beginning to experience gratitude, and as we experience gratitude, there are good side effects to gratitude. And when we don't experience gratitude, there are going to be not so good effects, because that's not how we were created to live. It's the part of the fall. So researchers examined blood flow in various brain regions while subjects summoned up feelings of gratitude. They found that subjects who showed more gratitude overall had higher levels of activity in the hypothalamus. This is important because the hypothalamus controls a huge array of essential body functions such as eating, drinking, and sleeping. It also has a huge influence on your metabolism. So if you're looking to lose weight, you need to be more grateful. A huge influence on your stress levels. From this evidence on brain activity, it starts to become clear how improvement in gratitude could have such wide-ranging effects, from increased exercise and improved sleep to decreased depression and fewer aches and pains. This is from a secular journal, Psychology Today. So going back, what's the cause of gratitude? What's the cause of gratitude? When you experience gratitude, what's the cause of that? Yeah, recognize, not just good, because you have good going on all the time. Me and the girls, I've seen them many times. It's recognizing, it's becoming aware, it's perceiving that what you have is a good thing. It is a gift. Now, it's not denying parts of reality, and that's why I kept talking about during this past series why I love Psalms, because David doesn't deny reality. He's not saying, my life is great and very bad things are happening. He's very open. So gratitude doesn't say we have to deny what's not right. All it's saying is just don't let what's not right blind you to what is right. Because whatever you focus on is going to control you. That even in bad situations, I know people and I've seen people, maybe you've done this, they have been able to find something good in it, not denying that something bad has happened. They've been able to find something good and be grateful for that. I never thought that I would say this concerning the flood, and many of you guys, I've been to your house, we've talked to you. It's so much worse than what we experienced, my family experienced. But then what I experienced is so much worse than what some of you guys experienced. And I never thought that I would have responded like this when people asked me, so how did you fare in the flood? And here's my response. We were really fortunate. We only had an inch of water in our home. Now take the hurricane away and let a pipe bust, and I've got an inch of water in my home. I'm not saying I only had an inch of water in my home. See what I'm saying? So now for me, I've heard people that said had 4 to 5 feet of water in their house, So how'd you fare? Well, we had 4 to 5 feet of water in the house, but I still have my family. Or I have an upstairs to live in. Or I've had family and friends offer me to stay at their house. Or I've had people come and rescue me. And so what's happening there is we're not denying that there's bad things. We're just saying that even in the bad things, if we look hard enough, deep enough, that we will be able to perceive and to see something good, which creates gratitude. Now, we don't want to keep gratitude just gratitude. We want to make it full circle. It's like download. You know, the download. You're waiting for the download. You want the download to go full circle and have a Thanksgiving expression. But gratitude is often not a part of who we are because we become blinded by the things that aren't right. We let what's not right. It's like, it's like the life of shopping for produce. Like you see one mar on the produce, on the fruit, then we're putting the fruit back. You're not going to find the perfect produce. Neither are we going to experience the perfect life. But we're just not going to allow one mar to affect the day. Because they're still good. And if it's still good, that should reflect who God is. Just think, just this morning, from the time, not this, by the way, it's not morning, just this afternoon, think of how much good has happened to you. You woke up. Most of you probably woke up in your bed, or some of y'all woke up in an RV. You Harvey survivors. But you woke up in a bed. You woke up, you had breakfast. You had health. You could walk. Here you are sitting with the church, your church family, that you get to sit and grow and talk about the things of God and point the eyes of your heart back to God every week and grow with. You probably have family. You see what I'm saying? Just alone this day, we have experienced so much good. You had transportation. I was complaining at one time about I had a Ford Ranger. Air conditioner went out in it. It was midsummer. It was very hot. Windows were rolled down. I was complaining about my car until I saw the lady in the wheelchair on the sidewalk next to me, in the motorized wheelchair. And I had to check myself and say, you know what? You just need to be grateful for what you have. You know what I'm saying? So there's so much that we have experienced today. So if we're not vigilant, then one thing that experiences to us can blind us to everything else that's good. Remember, gratitude is not just the result of experiencing good. Gratitude is a result of acknowledging and perceiving and recognizing that there is good. We want to complete the circle and let that lead to Thanksgiving. Here's the one thing of Thanksgiving that we're going to stay on, that I want to focus your hearts on, and that is it should lead to worship. It should lead directly to seeing God. Now, November is like the birthday season for the Lloyds. End October and November. We have three in our family, our nuclear family that has birthdays in then late October and into November. And it's like yesterday, I was looking on social media, it's like, everybody's having a birthday. Like, everybody having a birthday. How many of your family has a birthday in November? Now, you guys know why, right? Just do the math. It's called Valentine's Day. All right, let's get this thing back on track. Look, I can't count. All right, I can add, I can subtract. When a gift is opened at our house, especially with our little kids, we always want to say, who's that from? Who's the gift from? Because we want them to give them a thanks so that you can at least say thank you. Because it's intrinsic to us that we know if there is a gift, then someone has given them that. Behind every gift, there's a giver. Like every song, we know there's a writer. Every movie, there's a director. Every meal, there's a chef. Every painting, there's an artist. And so gratitude, when we have a gift, we should learn this. This is the on-ramp. Every gift reminds us, that's good. But every gift has a giver, and it should bring our hearts back to fellowship with God. James 1:17, every good gift and every perfect gift is from above. So this gift is like being sent down from the Father of lights, this God, with whom there is no variation or shadow due to change. It doesn't change. So, let's just look at this. Every good gift is from above. And that gift that you receive, every good gift, whatever you would say is good, every good gift is from above. Thank God for the gifts that He's given us. And that gift has been sent down from the Father of lights, from God. So if every good gift is from above, coming down from God, when we see good, doesn't it make sense that our praise should go up? So if the gift is coming down, then if we want to give and return thanks to the giver of whoever this gift is from, then we're going to follow the trajectory of how it got to us, and we're just going to follow it right back up, and which is going to say that we're going to see God. So we do this with big things. What I'm trying to do for myself is say, don't just do this for big things, do this for all good things. Because not long ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, my wife needed to do something with the older two girls, and she said, hey, can you hang out with Remy? Yeah, it was late at night. So yeah, so we went outside. Dark night, stars were out. We laid down on the driveway, me and this 5-year-old, and we're looking at the stars. And I have an app. You probably have seen the app. Maybe you have the app where you point the phone up to the stars, and it'll show you the constellations. It'll name the stars. It'll show you the fish, the guy with the fish. I don't know the names, but it shows you all this stuff. And so it's really cool. Hey, Dad, look, there's the dude with the fish, and we'll point it around. But here's the when I saw the stars, and when I was looking at the constellations, I didn't worship the stars. Reflexively, without thinking about it, I thought, God, you are huge. You are amazing. I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to press myself. It wasn't obligatory for me to do it. It was just a natural thing to go, I'm amazed. I am in wonder. My mind is blown once again by the creation that you've created. And I'm sure you've done that before. I'm sure you've done that with mountains. Just on vacation, you've seen the mountain, and you're looking from a distance, or you're in the middle of it, and you're skiing it, and you just go, oh, amazing. Or you see maybe the ocean, so vast, so as far as you can see, and it blows your mind. But you don't just stop with the nature, do you? Because you know behind that big thing, there had to be something bigger to create it. And so your mind goes to God. And I'm just telling you, at that moment, on my driveway, I had a fellowshipping moment with God. It did nothing like it here at the church, but my mind was renewed. I was like awed and blown away by who the person of God is. That's what it means to fellowship with God. It's not weird. It's not strange. It's very normal. It's very reflexive. It's just a response. Worship is a response to the authority, to the person of who God is. And the stars allowed me to see the person behind the stars. Behind every gift, there's a giver. But we usually just do this. Our mind is usually just blown with big things until the small things are taken away. And when the small things are taken away, then we realize what we're missing. I don't want to be the person that has to have things taken away to realize how good those things are. So every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down. So when you experience good, you perceive good, then take a moment and say, train your mind. Yeah, lead your thoughts at that moment. Lead your thoughts back to God. See good, see God. When you see good, see God. If you have good happen to you, experience God, because that's who it's coming from. Every good and perfect gift comes from above. Or you could say it like this: see through the gift to the giver. See through the gift to the giver. See through to. So every gift usually has a label, right? It says to and from, to and from. Well, when you see the gift, it's to you. But don't forget the from part. Notice it's the gift has someone to give. And that's exactly what worship is. Right? So worship is a way for our hearts to acknowledge who God is. So it's a response to the person of God. So that response is to His authority, His power. We'll see His power in display throughout things in our life. We'll see His beauty, the beauty of God. We'll see His kindness. Respond. When you have kindness given to you, look, maybe a neighbor, a friend does something extremely nice for you. Yes, thank them, but thank the God who encouraged them to be nice to you. You know what? Here's my goal for the series. I want us, and I mentioned this last year, and I want you to walk out of here saying, I'm the most grateful person in the world. I'm the most grateful person in the world. And there's days I feel like I'm the most grateful person in the world. And then there's days I don't. And I feel like I'm very selfish. And I feel entitled. And you start getting on social media and look at what everybody else has and think, oh, poor me. You know, they're in Italy. I'm in Beaumont. They got a new car. And I got this old GMC truck. Is it running? Is it getting you to point A to point B? Maybe your house doesn't look like everybody else's, but is it taking care of your needs? Maybe your job's not as the perfect job. You're getting paid. Last thing. I've had people that I've prayed with for a job. And we pray, God, give them a job, give them a job. They call me and they say, hey, guess what? What, you got the job? I got the job, I got the job. So grateful for my job. A month later, cursing the job. Cursing the blessing. Don't curse your blessings. Don't complain. Don't complain about the house being so dirty because the kids didn't clean it up. One day you may wish you had those kids back in a dirty house. You got to see through. See through too. Let your heart worship. Let your heart worship. Amen?